Okay. Brother Piya, you can proceed.
Okay. Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Buddhang saranang gacchami, Dhammang saranang gacchami, Sanghang saranang gacchami, Dutiyampi buddhang saranang gacchami, Dutiyampi dhammang saranang gacchami, Dutiyampi sanghang saranang gacchami, Tatiyampi buddhang saranang gacchami, Tatiyampi dhammang saranang gacchami, Tatiyampi sanghang saranang gacchami. Panatipata veramani sikkhapadang samadhiyami. Adinadana veramani sikkhapadang samadhiyami. Kamesu miccachara veramani sikkhapadang samadhiyami. Musawada veramani sikkhapadang samadhiyami. Surameraya Majjapamadatthana Veramani Sikkhapadang Samadhiyami. Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu. Let us now sit comfortably and do a short meditation on loving kindness. Vesak is just over, so this is our first class of the Vesak. We are still in the Vesak month, so this is a meditation of joy, loving kindness, beginning with ourselves, using some happy words such as, may I be well, may I be well. Say those words, feel them, and then silently just feel the joy, peace, smile. May I be happy, may I be happy. In the same thing, repeat the words, and then silently feel what you have said and smile. May I be at peace with myself. May I be at peace with myself. I accept myself just as I am. I accept myself just as I am. You can choose just one or two, or if you like, 3 sentences, not too many. Just go on repeating them slowly. You feel the loving kindness, the joy, the peace. If you feel the loving kindness strongly, the joy strongly, then no need to say any words, just smile, feel the joy. Then when you come out of it, then say those words. You can also make special sentences as needed, depending on your situation or difficulties. You can say, for example, may I be free from anger. May I be free from anger. Smile. May I be free from fear. May I be free from fear. Now, picture your best friend, the kindest person that you know, a relative, a friend or a teacher, someone still living, still alive. Picture this person sitting in front of you or beside you, happy, smiling. If you can't visualize this person, use the person's name, like talking to the person. Send your loving kindness to this wonderful person. May you be well. May you be well. Tell this person, talking to him. Close your eyes. Silently send the loving kindness to this wonderful person. Smile. May you be happy. May you be happy. May you be at peace with yourself. May you be at peace with yourself. I accept you just as you are. I accept you just as you are. If the person is not well or troubled, then you can also say some helping words. May you recover quickly. May you recover quickly. May you feel inner peace. May you feel inner peace. And so on. And smile at this person. Now send the picture this beautiful white lotus. This flower represents your loving kindness in the center of your heart. And this lotus is opening up, it's blossoming, shining, radiant like the sun itself, bright with loving kindness. Shining from your heart, brightening your whole body and mind, shining outwards, brightening the space around you, the whole room. Shine your loving kindness on this wonderful person, everyone in the house or wherever you are. Send out this bright light all around, gradually extending to cover bigger and bigger area. As you do that, wish your family members, relatives, friends in the house well and happy. May all the beings in this in this home, in this building, be well and happy. May they be friendly. When you're practicing on your own, you can keep on sending your loving kindness outwards to the other houses, to your neighborhood, and so on. As you do that, think of the people out there and send your loving kindness to them individually or as a group. Now let us send our loving kindness to everyone connected in this Zoom class. You can hear me, I can hear you, I can feel you. So I'm going to send my loving kindness to you, every one of you, and each of you are going to send loving kindness to everyone else. This is a wonderful network, global network of loving kindness. Little bright lights of loving kindness all over the world. May you be well. May you be well. May you be happy. May you be happy. Smile. May you be at peace with yourself. May you be at peace with yourself. I accept you just as you are. I accept you just as you are. And now we come to the most important stage called breaking the barriers, where we send out our loving kindness boundlessly, without any limits, in all the directions. May all the beings in the front directions be well and happy. Brighten up the front directions, right to the end of the universe. May all the beings in the directions to the right be well and happy. Brighten the right quarter. May all the beings in the directions at the back be well and happy. Brighten the back quarter. May all the beings in the directions to the left be well and happy. Brighten the left quarter with your loving kindness. May all the beings in the directions above be well and happy. Brighten the directions above with your bright light of loving kindness. May all the beings in the directions below be well and happy. Brighten the quarter below with the bright light of your loving kindness. And smile. May all the beings in all the directions, everywhere, be well and happy. May I be well and happy. Now bring back the bright light of loving kindness back into your heart where it comes from. The lotus petals are closing. And this lotus is always there in your heart. This is to remind us that loving kindness is always there in our heart. So when we feel angry, just think of the loving kindness. When we are troubled, just shine the loving kindness. When you travel, when you visit a new place, shine the loving kindness from your heart, all around you. And now we review our practice. Remember the peaceful moments, joyful moments. Follow them anytime you like. They will help you to meditate better. Or whenever you need inner peace, just remember this beautiful white lotus in the center of your heart. If you like, remember any difficulties you have, so that you can work on them when you read your suttas or ask questions. So this is to review your practice. To end this session, you may gently open your eyes. Just sit for a couple of minutes, just sitting, doing nothing, coming back into this world. We begin our meditation slowly, gently. We end it also slowly, gently. Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu. That's very good. We'll finish our meditation. We go on to our study. Okay, now today we have a new sutta, and we have a few slides later. It's called the Atthaka Khalunka Sutta. Atthaka means 8 sets of 8 or octets. Khalunka is an adjective describing horses which are uneasy, restive, we say. So these are describing 8 kinds of horses which are difficult to control. And this is from A814. The sutta number is A814. So either remember the sutta or the number. Okay, for short, you can remember Khalunka Sutta. All right, Atthaka tells us where the text is from. It's from the book of eights, sets of eights, octets from the Anguttara, or 8.14. And of course, you have the SD number, which is 7.9. This follows sequence of translation. So if you want the new edition, you can say SD 7.9. Ratna and I will know which one. Or you can say 8.14. We'll look it up. Okay, and there are other names that you can see. Third line says or. Atta Asa Khalunka Sutta. Atta Asa means 8 horses. So these are different names from either the Burmese, Sinhalese, Siamese, or European edition. The theme is psychological defense mechanisms. So this is something very interesting. This is a modern kind of theme. The reality, of course, the sutta is not about psychological mechanisms in themselves, but the way modern psychologists, modern scholars look at it, they say, wow, this looks familiar. And the Buddha seems to be talking about psychological mechanisms. So we're going to find out what they are today. Okay? So now you can see further down, I want to show you this contents page. Originally, this sutta around, I think 10 years ago, I think I started with it, or maybe longer. It was only like, 3-4 pages. Now it's gone up to 52, more than 50 pages, 52 or 54, because I've used this framework to write a bit of my own experiences, which I'll mention a little later. So here you can see this, because the text is very thick, 50 over pages, so I prepared a contents page for your convenience. So you can see the single number will be the main chapter header, and then the 2 digits, 1.1, tells you the subchapter and so on. So what you should do is first look at the main chapter 1, 2, 3, see what you like. Anything strikes you, then look below what is it you're interested in. Don't look at the whole thing and then say, wow, there's so much to read. Then you're telling yourself, don't read it. This is the way our mind works. For example, when I'm doing my sutta work, I never say, wow, there are 84,000 Dhamma aggregates to finish. How many lives do I need? If I think like that, I'll never work. I just take one sutta, I look at it, and I say, oh, this sutta is interesting. What is it talking about? So I'm making friends with the sutta. Okay, so take it one at a time. Don't imagine you must finish everything. There's nothing to finish. It's just like breathing. You're not going to finish all the so many million breaths in your life. You take it one breath at a time. So one sutta at a time. So this is the contents page. Now, so this sutta has got 2 parts. In the first part, the Buddha talks about 8 kinds of horses. This is something familiar. The Buddha is very familiar with horses. A lot of people those days also know about horses, especially if they are kshatriyas, they are noblemen, they are warriors. So the Buddha is very familiar with the behavior of horses. And then in the second part, he uses this familiar idea. He talks about 8 kinds of behavior by monks who have committed some offense, and they behave in a very similar way. And then he describes what kind of reaction, what kind of defense they try to put up. So this is what we're going to study today. So before we go into the sutta, I'm going to summarize for you 7 of these defenses which are mentioned in the suttas, so that you can connect between some modern psychology teachings as well as the suttas, and then kind of find it useful in your daily life in terms of the Dhamma and modern psychology. So I'm going to share my screen now, right? So I'm going to click sharing. Right, so where is the share screen? Okay, the green thing here. All right. Oh no, wrong one. Okay. All right, are you getting the screen now?
Yes, yes, we can see.
Okay, very good. Full screen, right?
Yes.
Okay, very good. Everyone can see. Anyone cannot see this, the slides? The title is Defense Mechanism Number 1, Repression. Can see, huh? Okay, very good. All this will be recorded, so don't worry. You can always look at the video again later on. Now, the oldest key defense mechanism is called repression. Okay, basically, let me tell you what a defense mechanism is. It is the way that we defend ourselves, basically, when we are not happy, when we feel threatened, when we're worried, when we do not know how to solve a problem, we come up with something. Even out of shyness, you find people often do that without knowing it. We also do that without knowing it. So it's good to know this, and then we learn our character and strengthen it so that we can engage socially better and also don't feel negative emotions, things like that. And it's very important in Buddhism to cultivate positive emotions. So repression basically is pushing down any disturbing thoughts into the subconscious. The subconscious is the part of our mind before we act. The mind that says, okay, I'm going to do this, I'm going to do that. It's private part of our mind. Actually, this idea comes from our unconscious, which is even deeper still. We don't even know it's there. Okay. So basically, it's just pushing down, not thinking about it, forgetting about it, repress. Now, repress means you don't even know you're doing it. You don't even know you're doing it. Whereas, suppose you're angry, then you control your anger, okay, because you're afraid people may talk bad about you, say, oh, you're a Dharma teacher, you got angry, so you pretend to be very calm, but it's kind of boiling inside. That's called repression. But on the other hand, if you are mindful, you calmly do loving kindness, you think of good things, then you suppress your anger. Now, that's a good thing. You do it consciously. So suppressing anger with loving kindness is a good thing because you're doing it in a positive way. Repressing, you don't even know what you're doing. It might one day explode. So that is what we don't want, right? Now look at this cartoon here. It says, this is a cartoon, okay? So it's making light of something dark. So this young boy tells the psychiatrist, I want you to help me recover my repressed memories. I keep forgetting the multiplication table, all right? So he is forgetful, but he's forgotten those tables. That is something else. But the idea is very similar. We forget something, and when you bring it to the conscious level, then you can deal with it. So in our meditation, this kind of repression may come up. We discover, say, oh, we are like that. And then you know yourself. Once you know yourself, you're no more afraid of it, then you can deal with the situation, okay? There's a lot that can be talked about it, so I'm just going to summarize so that you get an overview, and then later we go deeper into it, you can ask questions. So this is repression, pressing down, pushing down a disturbing thought into somewhere where we don't have to think about it, the subconscious. Oops, sorry. Okay, now next one is regression. Okay, here's another one. Regression basically means going backwards. A return or returning to a prior lower state of cognitive, emotional, or behavioral functioning. In simple words, going back to our childhood situation, a time when we were younger. For example, this boy who's sleeping, for some reason is very worried, maybe exams or something he has to do and is very afraid. So he's sucking his thumbs. I mean, he is like a teenager, but he's sucking his thumb like a little boy. And then you have Calvin here from Calvin and Hobbes. He's very angry. So he's behaving like a little baby, crying, so it makes a lot of noise. So that sort of burst of emotion can also be regarded as regression, going back to an earlier development stage, being childish, basically, going back to being a child, okay? There are lots of funny examples here. For example, There's one funny story where this girl was forced to marry an older man, with whom he doesn't know, is not very happy. So this girl went into the room and then came out dressed like a like a young girl with ponytail, and then with a toy, and then she sits on the floor, kicking her legs and behaving like a little girl, and that worries the parents, because she behaves like a little girl. So the unconscious message is, oh, I'm too young to marry, and that kind of thing. She doesn't know how to say it, so her emotions kind of acted out on her. Then there's another very interesting real life case I myself came across. We had this temple in Malacca, a small suburb or village temple, if you like. This old man, he decided to let people use his house, turn his house into a temple. So I told him, I was a monk then, so I was an advisor. I told him, why do you have a committee? So you don't have to do everything. The committee will run things for you. Well, the committee did run things for him, but then he's not used to people running affairs for him. So he thought at one point that this committee was going to take over the house. And so he was very worried, and he got into a trance. He got into a trance, he sat on the floor and started whimpering and crying and saying strange things that Malacca people like to say. So this got the whole committee who are suburban lay Buddhists got very worried, because trances are scary in Malacca those days. So they did not know what to do. They rang me up, and so I rushed there. And I look at him, I said, wow, this is regression. Of course, nobody will know what I'm talking about those days. So I quietly went to him. I said, don't worry, nobody is trying to take over your house. I would tell them that I explained to the committee how to do things, So we should not take this trance thing as something magical, or this old man has some psychological problems. He's worried, you see, and he doesn't know how to say it, so he gets into this safe state. He's defending himself. He's defending his property, you see. So once you know this psychology working, then you are in a better way to help everyone, see? So this is why knowing defense mechanism can be very helpful. Of course, you got to know how to identify what's going on and what to do. That is why studying the suttas can be very helpful. Okay. All right. So number 3, we have another defense mechanism. This is quite easy. Aggression. You can see the cartoon. Someone there, the bald-headed man is very angry. He's probably the boss, and the young man is very scared. So this is a third way we defend ourselves when we are upset, or we feel threatened, or whatever, something negative we don't like. So aggression is a violent reaction to conflict or stress. And the threat can be real, it can be just a threat, or it can be actual harming of others physically or psychologically, like scolding someone, or actually even hitting someone, or just threatening. So it's not really pleasant, in other words. So it's good to know why. And also on our side, it's good that we do not get too upset about these things. We don't simply judge people because they're angry. We try to find out what's going on, especially if you are, it is in your family, you see. You can't be getting upset with everyone who gets angry. So you got to find out what's going on and try to connect with them at the right time. So aggression is a very common, very easy defense mechanism to detect. You notice sometimes people are by nature very calm, very kind, very gentle, and suddenly they get into this anger, and which they themselves are surprised. So it's a kind of defense mechanism. We've got to find out why. Okay. Now we come to number 4. The 4th defense mechanism is a bit more tricky: projection. So now if you look at the first cartoon, the small cartoon, is quite easy. The two persons are pointing to each other. What A is saying B is wrong, B is saying A is wrong, right? So they're projecting to each other. attributing our positive or negative traits. It can be either positive or negative traits, affections, feelings, or impulses to another person or group. So we blame other people instead of taking the blame ourselves. You'll see this in the sutta afterwards. So we try to blame others. Someone say, I don't like you, and then you say, I don't like you too, something like that. You what do you call it? Give back, so to speak, right? And then the other big cartoon has the same thing. The lady saying, my therapist is very bitter. I don't admit it, but I am bitter too, right? So it's projecting to her therapist, right? So this is an example, okay, how we sometimes push our emotion to someone else. So you'll be saying, oh yes, I've done this before, right? So we all have this experience. So don't feel that, wow, I'm only talking about you. This is a very common experience. Attributing our positive or negative traits, effects, or impulses to another person or group. Projection, like a cinema show, you're projecting your ideas to someone else. Number 5 is the 5th defense mechanism is compensation. Now you can see all this number 3.5 and so on, right? So this tells you the section in your book, okay, in the new edition of the SD 7.9. It's all there given in detail with stories and with examples and how to deal with it. More importantly, how to deal with it. It's all mentioned there. So this compensation is overemphasizing a desirable situation in place of one's weakness or failure or troubling feeling. Now look at this young boy, he's not able to study, right? So he's not happy with it. He's daydreaming, he wants to be a sportsman. So you know, he feels that being a sportsman, he will succeed, might get a scholarship, especially in America. We have this idea. Another case is this. I know a case where this young boy, he comes from a broken family. The mother has left the family, he's all by himself. So he's very sad, he's very angry, he doesn't know what to do, he feels vulnerable. So he does physical exercise and build up his body until it's so huge and looks very odd. So he's overcompensating. You can overcompensate sometimes because you are pushing all this worry into something else instead of actually solving the problems. So this is compensation. And it's called defense mechanism. It's also called unconscious defense mechanism, psychological defense mechanism. There are many names, sometimes just defense. So usually we are not conscious of it. So one way to correct it is to bring it to the conscious level, not to be afraid to talk about it, you know. Or if someone's ready, you can explain it to the person and then teach the person how to deal with it, right? So it's not good when you don't know it's happening to you and it's taking control of you, then you find you can't really communicate with people, you cut yourself off from people too, all right? Number 6, the 6th defense mechanism is called isolation. This is elaborated in section 3.6. This is to isolate yourself, to avoid all situations connected with what seems to be undesirable, separating feeling from ideas and feeling from ideas, ideas from feeling, vice versa, all right? So this girl is playing golf and she's thinking, I should be upset that I wrecked my car on the way here, but I really don't care, right? So she's just cutting herself off from the idea. Of course, it's not really serious in this case, unless there are other situations. But here it's just that we, you know, cut ourselves off from feeling of anything about it. So there are many more things we can talk about, but I think just for the moment, this should be enough. Now, number 7 is the last one. Denial, okay? Denial is the refusal to accept reality, acting as if a painful event, thought, or feeling does not exist while it is apparent to others, right? A simple example is someone, let's say a mother or a father is told the child, the son has died, or this COVID thing, And then this poor mother refused to accept it. The poor mother said, no, 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 he's strong. I know he's strong. So although that there are evidence, all these doctors' certificate and so on, she refused to accept it. So she goes on about behaving as if the son is still alive, cleaning his room, getting his meals ready, and so on. So that's called denial. Some denial can be really bad, some not so bad. So this is like the ostrich putting the head in the ground. Okay, so by the way, when someone dies, usually in the morning sequence, denial is part of it. We will deny for a while, say no, it can't happen, and after we accept it, and it goes on like that, different stages. Okay, so here we are. Now I give back my screen to Wendy. You got the screen back, Wendy? Okay, view. All right, that's good. You got the screen back, right? Okay. Can you all hear me?
Yes,
Okay.
we can hear
Yes,
you.
yes, we can hear you.
Okay, now let's go into the sutta. I think it's page 165, is that correct? Okay, there you are. Atthaka Khalunka Sutta, the 8th discourse on the restive. Bhikshus, I will teach you regarding 8 kinds of restive or unbroken horses and the 8 faults in a horse, and 8 types of restive persons and 8 faults in a person. So notice here again the teaching style. The Buddha is using something well known socially in his time, and he's going to point to something which is not so well known but important to know. 8 kinds of horses, 8 kinds of human behavior. So in a sense, the Buddha is hinting those 8 kinds of human behavior is horse-like. It's kind of not really very good. So listen, bhikshus. So whenever the Buddha says bhikshus, he's communicating to us, every one of us here. Pay close attention to it, I will speak. Yes, Bhante. The monks answered the Blessed One, innocent. The Blessed One said this. So once you see the Blessed One said this, the teaching begins. So now you see a subheading, the 8 kinds of horses. Right? So this is the first part. And what bhikshus are the 8 kinds of restive or inferior horses, and 8 faults in a horse? Here, bhikshus, a certain restive horse is told. Go forward. Okay, the Pali word is pehi. Okay, pehi, go ahead, or go ahead, as we say locally. We're telling the horse to giddy up, to move forward, while being beaten and goaded by the trainer. So this line is going to repeat itself for all the other 7 sections. So this trainer makes the horse move forward. Instead, it backs. It moves back and twists the chariot around with its hind quarters. Because it is tied to the chariot, so it turns around. Even so, bhikshus, here a certain horse is restive. This bhikshus is the first fault in a horse. So here this horse is very active. Okay? It turns around, the whole chariot moves around to the other side. So you'll see in this sutta that the Buddha is going to give 8 examples of horses from very, very active until not so active. So first, that's the first kind of horse. Second kind of horse. Again, bhikshus, here a certain restive horse is told, go forward, or go ahead, while being beaten and goaded by the trainer. Instead, it jumps back. Or here I put some extra explanation according to commentary, lifting its hind legs. So you can imagine the hind legs go up, damaging the carriage railing and brakes, and breaking the triple bar. This is the bar on the chariot. It's broken. The railings are damaged. So this horse jumps up, okay? So now the chariot is kind of like left there, damaged. Even so, bhikshus, here a certain horse is restive, and this bhikshus is the second fault in a horse. Okay, so just have an idea. You got to picture what this horse is doing. Okay, this one, the hind legs go up. All right. Now, section 4, the Buddha talks about the third kind of horse, which is not properly trained, or this restive horse, this horse which is not disciplined. Again, bhikshus, here a certain restive horse is told, go forward while being bitten and goaded by the trainer. Notice the italicized words, and it means the line is repeated. Instead, it bows its head so that the yoke, the part around the neck, falls to the ground, freeing its thigh from the chariot pole and tramples on it. Okay, so now this horse kind of tries to free itself, right? It bows down its head this time, right? Okay, up please. Yes. All right, so this is the third kind of horse, which is faulty. Now the fourth kind of horse. Again, bhikshus, here a certain restive horse is told, go ahead, or go forward, while being bitten and goaded. Goad here is like a stick, and the trainer pokes at the horse. Instead, it goes the wrong way and runs the chariot off the road. All right, so it doesn't listen to the trainer. It goes the wrong way, and the chariot goes off the road. Even so, bhikshus, a certain horse is restive. This bhikshus is the fourth fault in a horse. Okay. Now, the fifth horse. Okay, this is in section 6. Again, bhikshus, here a certain restive horse is told, go forward while being bitten and goaded by the trainer. Instead, it rears up its front quarters and paws the air with its front feet. Okay, this is like, you know, those old Lone Ranger movies, you see the white horse called Silver, you know, standing on 2 feet, and then the front legs are in the air. Okay, so this is what it does. Very easy to picture. This one, very famous posture. It rears up its front quarters and paws the air with its front feet. Even so, bhikshus, here a certain horse is restive. This bhikshus is the fifth fault in the horse. Notice here, in the first few examples, the horse is still tied to the chariot. It breaks free from the chariot. Now this horse is kind of like standing on its own. So this is stage 5. Okay, now 6. That is section 7, and you can see bracket 6 there. So the brackets is the internal sequence of the kinds of horses. Again, bhikshus, here a certain restive horse is told, go forward while being bitten and goaded by the trainer. But ignoring him, ignoring his goad is the stick, it gnashes the bit free. So there's a bit around its mouth, so it bites it and then breaks free and wanders about where it wishes. So in other words, now you cannot hold back the horse because it's already broken away. It wanders about where it wishes. Even so, bhikshus, here a certain horse is restive. This bhikshus is the 6th fault in a horse. Right? Now, section 8, the 7th situation. Now here again, bhikshus, here a certain restive horse is told, go forward while being bitten and goaded by the trainer. It neither moves forward nor back, but stands right there like a post. So it doesn't move, it just stands still. It refuses to do anything. It's more like an ass or a donkey here. It doesn't want to move. It becomes stubborn. Even so, bhikshus, here a certain horse is restive. This bhikshus is the 7th fault in a horse. So notice the horse is becoming more and more difficult to manage. And now the last one, section 9, which is the 8th posture of the horse. Again, bhikshus, here a certain restive horse is told, go forward while being bitten and goaded by the trainer. it folds its forelegs and hind legs together and sits right there on its forelegs. Oh, this is really cute, right? This horse sits down like into meditation, right? Sits down there, and in a sense that it's relaxed. I'm going to do nothing, you know. So even so, bhikshus, here a certain horse is restive, but in this case, the horse is totally relaxed. It doesn't want to do anything. This bhikshu is the eighth fault in a horse. These bhikshus are the 8 kinds of restive or inferior horses and the 8 faults in the horse. Now you're going to see that the Buddha actually, in a sense, is quite humorous. You know, he's quite, he uses all these ideas, and he's trying to also show how these monks who behave in a very negative way, they can be quite silly also, right? So now in the second part, right, you see the heading there, the 8 kinds of restive persons, right? So how does the Buddha join or pair out these 8 kinds of horses to the 8 kinds of offenders? Okay, let's look at the first one, right? Section 10, and bhikshus. What are the 8 types of restive persons and the 8 faults in a person? All right, now the Buddha is talking about human beings. So here the humor is already quite apparent, quite clear. We are behaving like horses. Isn't that funny? I mean, isn't that silly, right? So when someone commits an offense and behaves defensively, they are being like those horses that are not properly trained. And in ancient India, a trained horse, ajaniya, in other words, a pedigree horse, is regarded as really superb, as really beautiful, as really something people admire. So, and in fact, a well-trained monk is sometimes described like this pedigree horse, very majestic and so on. But here's just the opposite. Okay, so let's look at case number 1. So these are Vinaya cases actually. Here, bhikshus, the monks accuse a monk of an offense. Okay, so this line is going to repeat itself. A monk is, his offense has been pointed out by other monks. Okay, but he's not happy with it. That monk, being thus accused of an offense by other monks, strongly objects. All right, so these 2 lines repeat themselves throughout the 7 other cases. And pleads forgetfulness. Pretends, or he claims he has forgotten it. I do not remember. I do not remember. Okay, so he says in Pali, he says Nasarami. Nasarami. I don't remember. I don't remember. Okay, so go further down, please. Bhikshus, just as a restive horse is told, go forward while being beaten and goaded by the trainer, instead it backs and twists the chariot around its hindquarters. Even so, is this person like that? I say, such bhikshus is a certain one here. Bhikshus, a restive person. This bhikshus is the first fault in a person. So this horse that moves back, right? Going back. So it's like it's forgetting something, compares to forgetting something. So here, in this case, or this Vinaya case, this monk says, I do not remember. I do not remember having broken this rule at all. I don't remember anything. Oh, we have an interesting situation here. If the monk really forgets, if he really forgets, in other words, he's telling the truth, then it is a defense. It may be a defense mechanism. Okay, in a sense that maybe he's afraid he has done it. Inside him, he's afraid, so he dare not admit it. So he really forgets. Okay, it is possible that it is a defense mechanism. Now, if that's the case, then of course the monks would talk to him gently and say, do you remember you did this, and then you did this, and then you did not do this. Everything is explained very clearly, and until this monk says, yes, I remember. Okay, now I remember. Okay. So in other words, the monk may actually sincerely say, I forget, because he has some difficulties. So the Sangha's task is to help this monk to bring this forgotten event, which is hidden in the unconscious or subconscious, up to the conscious level. And once it comes to the conscious level means this monk can see it. They say, oh, now I see. So this is what I've done. You see, because before that he does not see it. Maybe he doesn't see the seriousness of the situation, or because he has some problems, he has done it, he has broken the rule, but he represses it. So here we have two things going on. One is he says, I don't remember. So it's definitely, you know, he has forgotten it, so it's called repression, right? And repression is the key. It underlies all the defenses because we don't want to face the situation. We push it underground, so to speak, so that we don't have to deal with it. So now the Sangha's task is to help this monk remember and to help him see the fault. And if he says, okay, now I understand, I accept that I've done it wrong, so may the Sangha please advise me. The Sangha has done its job. Okay, that's one scenario, a happy scenario, okay? Now, on the other hand, let's say this monk knows that he has done it, but he refuses to say it. He says, I can't remember, right? And this happens with a lot of people. People we know, they say, I can't remember, right? Or we ourselves might sometimes say, I don't remember. When we know it, we don't want. There are many reasons we don't want to make a fuss of it, whatever. Now, if we do that, then it is lying. It's very clearly it's lying. And so we have another issue, okay? Again, here, the Sangha there are witnesses there, there are monks there. It is basically a hearing. It's a legal case, we say, among the Sangha. So there will be witnesses, and then those witnesses will say, well, I saw you do this, you know. So if the monk refuses to accept it, then we have a bigger problem. Okay, so this is what we don't want to happen. So this is what the Buddha is teaching us, telling us, don't let this happen, in other words. So even at this first stage, you know, it's important to understand how the Sangha works. And we as laymen, it's very important to understand this also. You remember in the Mahaparinibbana Sutta, towards the end, there was this hearing by the Sangha. You have these 500 arahats gathered together for the first council. And one of the first things they did was to actually put Ananda on trial. Imagine these are all arahats, you know. So they asked Ananda, for example, I don't remember all the cases they brought against him, but I remember a few. For example, they asked Ananda, Mahakassapa was the head of the council, so why did you let the women come first to see the Buddha's body and pay respects? And then they were crying and their tears were kind of soiling the Buddha's body. You should have done that, you know, and so on. Okay, so here Ananda says, Ananda explained everything very clearly, very fairly. He says, you know, I have to let this women come first because it was quite late in the night, and so that the women can pay their respects and then go home safely. Okay, so he gave explanation for all his acts, which the Sangha questioned, and were not happy with him, so to speak. Actually, there's no mention that the arahats are not happy with Ananda. Rather, these matters are brought up because there were complaints. So the idea here, and what Ananda said is very significant. He told the Sangha, okay, I've explained to you all these things, but I accept your judgment, I accept your opinion that although I see myself as not doing anything wrong, I accept the decision of the Sangha and I apologize to the Sangha. So you see this very beautiful, harmonious kind of situation where Ananda is humble, although he knows he has done the right thing, like allowing all this, you know, women to see the Buddha's body first and so on, but out of respect for the Sangha, he says, I accept your judgment. So this is the way it should be, okay? Otherwise, you have some kind of conflict, some kind of unhappiness. This will happen. To be quite honest with you, I'm sorry I have to name names here because it is from my own understanding. The Ajahn Brahm case, when he was excommunicated, you see. So my understanding from the Vinaya and the Sutta is that he felt that the whole Sangha is wrong and that he himself, only that he is right. In fact, I hear a few things from some of the monks actually talk bad about the old monks in the Sangha too, which is not proper. Is it? So this is where, I mean, if he really was wise, he would have said, okay, like Ananda, I said, whatever, I accept your decision. Please tell me what I should not do and so on. And then there'd be no problem, you see. So that's why it's important to know the Vinaya and know the Dhamma also. Then we do not need the excommunication. We don't need all those unnecessary trouble. The sad thing for me is most people don't know what's going on. You know, maybe some monks understand it, those monks who know the Vinaya, other monks who do not know the Vinaya, and most of those English monks basically do not know the Vinaya, they do not observe the Vinaya anyway, so they don't know what's going on. So this is the sad thing. That is why we need to know the suttas. That's why suttas like this are very precious to us, to understand the situation and how harmony is maintained in the Sangha. But this is something we are losing touch with. So it's very important to preserve this wisdom. So I will stop here for a while, and then we'll come back after 5 minutes.
Okay. Thank you, Brother Piya. We will take a 5 minutes break.
Okay, can proceed.
Okay, let's go on with the study. So now we look at the second Vinaya case. So these are actually case studies, Vinaya cases. This is very interesting where we have in the Sutta is actually a teaching about the Vinaya. So you find even in the Suttas, even in the Dhamma, it is related to the Vinaya. That they are, the two of them are closely interlinked. Section 11, case number 2. Again, bhikshus, here the monks accuse a monk of an offense. That monk, the accused monk, being thus accused of an offense by the monks, strongly objects, thus the accuses, right? So notice here the idea that this person, the accused monk is not very happy. Okay, so this is the background. So he reacts, he says, what is there to your foolish and ignorant talk? Think about what you should say. Well, look at the tone of this. You can sense there is anger, right? There's anger in it. So he's like scolding back, right? So here the Buddha says, bhikshus, just a certain restive horse is told, go forward while being beaten and goaded by the trainer. Instead, it jumps back, lifting its hind legs, damages the carriage railing and breaks the triple bar. Even so, bhikshus, is this person like that, I say? Such bhikshu is this certain person with a fault here. This bhikshu is the second fault in a person. So this person, what is the defense mechanism here? Can you guess? You can type it in your chat box if you like. What do you think is the defense mechanism here? Anyone? Yeah, right now somebody can you see it or not? Okay, Ryan goes very fast. Aggression, yeah, very good. Actually, it's quite easy. You look at the footnote, it's all there, right? And this is one of the tricks I like to play with my students in the university class. I'll just ask them a very difficult question. Everybody, no more eye contact with me, they'll look down. Then there are some clever ones, they look at the footnotes, they know the answer is there. All right, so of course, if you want the easy, sometimes you look at it, you can know also. So this monk is being aggressive, okay, he fights back, all right? Just like the horse that jumps back. So this is the second case, okay? All right, so you may ask, okay, so what's the deal here? What's the big deal here? What's wrong with this monk? So in other words, this monk is not listening to the Sangha. He refuses to accept the decision of the Sangha. So he says, you're foolish, and what is all this foolish, ignorant talk, you know? Think about what you should say. So he's very angry, right? So this can be quite difficult, isn't it? Okay, now just to, for what do you call it, for discussion, what would the Sangha do then? What if this monk is really hard-headed, all right? there was one such monk, and of all people, it is the Siddhartha's charioteer. Do you remember his charioteer? Channa, remember Channa? Now, so Channa became a monk too. And imagine he was all the way with the Bodhisattva, and then he was there after Buddha went back to Kapilavatthu, he became a monk, you know. So he's very proud. The Sakyas are very proud people. So, and the fact that he is a charioteer to the Buddha, so he's extra proud. So he doesn't, and of course people respect him too. The other monks look up to him. So he felt that he has this special position, all right? I suppose he was not too happy as a monk at that time. So he was very difficult to teach. The elders did not kind of advise him and so on. Even when the Buddha has passed away, this Channa was kind of not, didn't attain any state, not even a stream winner. Then the Buddha did something really dramatic, amazing in his great wisdom. He imposed what is called the Brahma Danda on Channa. That's the first time the word Brahma Danda is used. You see this word Brahma, I'm working on this word right now in the latest sutta, on the Khalunka Sutta. The Brahma here means supreme. Okay, we can translate Brahma in different ways. Danda means stick or rod, but here it is figurative, it means punishment. But, you know, it's very similar to Malay. You know what's the Malay word for danda? Danda. Right now I say, oh yes, I got it, right? You see, Malay danda and Pali danda, same meaning, punishment, right? So Brahma Danda, the supreme punishment, supreme stick on Channa. And what is the supreme punishment? The Sangha is to boycott Channa, have nothing to do with him. But you can see how amazing the Buddha is, how amazing the legal system of the early Sangha is, very gentle. There is no physical punishment. The whole Sangha will boycott Channa. In fact, Ananda was the one who is supposed to convey this decision to Channa after Buddha has passed away, and poor Channa almost fainted when he heard that. And at once he realized his mistake, and then he decided to change. So he became an Arhat after that, with some training, I suppose. So there you can see, even after the Buddha has passed away, posthumously, through his own action, he was able to help his own charioteer to get back into the path and become awakened. It's amazing, isn't it, where the Buddha is concerned? So there you are, you can see the Sangha helping the offender, right? But in this case, you find the offender fights back. He's not too happy, but the Sangha can impose, if the case is really bad, the Sangha can impose the Brahma Danda, the supreme penalty on this monk who scolds the other monks, all right? So the Sangha works in these wonderful ways. All right, so this is the second offender. Now let's look at the third one, section 12. Again, bhikshus, here the monks accuse the monk of an offense. That monk, being thus accused of an offense by the monks, strongly objects and retorts, replies to his accusers, you too have committed such and such an offense. You make amends of yours for yours first. All right? So this is the response or reaction. Bhikshus, just as a restless horse is told, go forward while being beaten and goaded by the trainer. Instead, it bows its head so that the yoke falls to the ground, freeing its thigh from the chariot pole and tramples on it. So this person is like that. So what is the defense mechanism here? Anyone? Anyone like to have in your chat box? Yes, it's Ryan again. Okay, projection. All right. So he's projecting to others. He's finding faults with others. So instead of saying, okay, how can you help me? He fights back. So here it's not very helpful. All right. Okay, now let's look at number 13. This is the fourth case. Okay. Here, again, bhikshus, here the monks accuse the monk of an offense. That monk, being thus accused of an offense by the monk, strongly objecting, evades the issue by raising various other issues, brushes aside the issue, and shows anger and hatred and bitterness. Oh, this is a bit complicated, right? It's not just one defense mechanism, it's at least two, you know. All right. So bhikshus just has a certain restive horse is told, go forward while being beaten and goaded by the trainer. Okay, go down, please. So even so, this horse goes the wrong way, in other words, right? And so this person's like that. Okay, let's go down again. Go up again. Let's see for the benefit of people. Okay, what do you think are the issues here, the defenses here? Anyone? Anyone can type, if you want. Just try. What is one of these? There are two actually. So first, he evades the issues and he raises other issues, and he brushes aside the issues. Okay. There is a bit of denial there, yes, but here he evades the issue. You know, he doesn't actually deny, he evades it. And then also, yeah, if you say evades could be denial, yeah, I suppose we can, but brush aside the issue. Okay, maybe he thinks he just doesn't want to deal with it. And then there is anger, hatred, bitterness. Okay, so one is denial. What else? Anyone else? There are two more.
There are answers in the chat box.
Okay, so someone read out.
Regression and aggression by Kemalim.
Very good, very good. Okay, so there you are. You can notice different ways you can identify these things. Now remember, the Buddhists who read the suttas did not know this. Who was the one who brought this attention to us? It was actually I think it's a Scandinavian Buddhist by the name of Rune E.A. Johansson, quite a few decades ago. He wrote a paper. You can see the name in your bibliography. It's called Defense Mechanisms According to Psychoanalysis and the Pali Nikayas. And he publishes a book called Buddhist and Western Psychology in 1983. All right. So he brought this. I think he must be really excited when he saw this. He says, wow, the Buddha knew about this defense mechanism even 2,500 years ago. 2,000 years before Sigmund Freud came up with this idea of psychological defenses in psychoanalysis. So this is how he found out about it. All right. Okay, now let's go on. Next one, section 14. Now this is interesting. Okay, this is the fifth case. Again, bhikshus here, the monks accuse a monk of an offense. That monk, being thus accused of an offense by the monks, strongly objecting, speaks before the Sangha, gesticulating his arms like Adolf Hitler. Okay, moving his arms around for emphasis. Bhikshus, just as a restive horse is told, go forward while being beaten and goaded by the trainer. Instead, it rears up its front paws, right? So this monk is gesticulating, moving his hands around, just like this horse, like Lone Ranger's horse, okay, with the paws up, pawing in the air. So the Buddha says he's just like that. All right. So this one, what is this? Defense is this? Anyone? Anyone in the chat box yet? Wendy or Ratna?
No one yet.
Yeah, somebody says
Aggression.
Sunita. Yeah.
No, it's not actually aggression, because here he's expressing a point. Right? Maybe he's smiling. You know. So, okay, yes, it's compensation. Compensation. Okay, Malim. Compensation. Now, why compensation? What is compensation in this case? Compensate. Okay, so that means, you see, this monk interestingly, maybe he knows he's done something wrong, you see. So now he's standing up and he's defending himself with eloquence. I mean, he's giving a long speech saying why he did it or why it's not wrong. So his idea is that through his ability to speak, he wants to win some votes. He wants to convince at least some of the monks to support him, because a good speaker is very useful in the Sangha. You know, he's able to teach Dharma and so on. So now this is a defense mechanism if he is not actually aware of what he's doing, in the sense that he's wrong, but he's not aware of it. But he psychologically just wants to defend himself. But he has this fear inside him, but he doesn't even, he's not aware of it. All right. Of course, if he knows it and he purposely does it, it's worse. That means he is kind of planning something, which is quite bad. So either way, you have this situation where this defense compensations where he wants to show others that he has other abilities, so don't judge him too much, which is not right anyway. Just because you are good in other things doesn't mean that the offense is not committed, you see? So this is why the Buddha raised this issue. So we still have to deal with this, something wrong here, we need to be corrected, and the fact that you can speak well, that is fine, but it must be done in the proper context. Okay, so that is important to understand. If you don't understand what I just said, you can ask during question time again. Now, okay, let's go down further. Number 15, right? Again, bhikshus. This is the sixth case. Again, bhikshus, here the monks accuse a monk of an offense. That monk, being thus accused of an offense by the monks, strongly objects and ignores the Sangha, ignores his accusers, wanders about as he wishes as an offender. So he doesn't care. So here, bhikshus, just as a certain restive horse is told, go forward while being beaten and goaded by the trainer. Instead, ignoring him, ignoring the goad, it gnashes the bit free and wanders about as it wishes. All right. So there you are. Okay, somebody, Sumita says it is isolation. Okay, right. So this one is a case of isolation. This offender doesn't have anything to do with the Sangha, which is again not very good. Okay, because then how it, that means it's not no fellowship, no samaggi, as we say. All right, so that is wrong. Okay, right. So that is case number 6, right? Now we go to section 16, case number 7. Again, bhikshus here, the monks accuse a monk of an offense. That monk, being thus accused of an offense by the monk, strongly objects and says, but I have not committed any offense. I have not committed any offense. And by his silence, he vexes the Sangha. So here, the Buddha says it's like a horse that neither moves forward nor back. It stands right there. The horse stands right there, refusing to move. This is the 7th fault. So, what is this one? Here there are at least two defenses. Anyone can work out this one? Yes? Just try.
Sister Sumita said denial.
Yes, denial. Denial is correct. Yeah, denial is one of them.
Yeah, Nim Chin Eng also said denial.
Yeah, okay, good. Because
Chan Soo Young too.
basically it says, I'm not committed it. I've not done it, right? So that's denial. And then what about his silence? Silence here, of course, we can think of isolation, but it's more, actually, it's a kind of regression. He goes, I mean, just like you don't want to talk, see? So it's like taking a step back, being childish, you know, so regression, we can also say it's regression, okay? So you have two things here. Oh yeah, you can also say isolation, you know, right? So this identifying of defenses is only helpful when you want to do the counseling. But when you actually look at this Vinaya case, the monks have to talk to this offender anyway, all right? So we're looking at it kind of from psychology point of view, then you look at it the Dhamma and Sangha Vinaya point of view too. There are different ways of looking at it. Now we are nearing the end. Now we come to the last one, I think. Now, section 17, the 8th case. again, bhikshus, here the monks accuse a monk of an offense. That monk being thus accused of an offense, given by the monks strongly objects, let me now give up the training and return to the low life or the life as a layman. Having given up the training, return to a low life. And then he says thus, now Bhante, here Bhante is plural, you know, Bhante is, are you satisfied? So happy now? I've resigned, you know, I've given up being a monk. So here the Buddha says this is, he's just like a horse that sits down, it forces all the four legs, sits down and doesn't move at all. It is stuck right there. The horse sits just right there on his four legs, okay? And what is this defense? If the monk is not conscious of it, unconsciously he does this. It is called, yes, anyone? This monk gives up,
Emma
right?
says isolation.
Yes, correct. Yeah, isolation. Okay, so there you are. We have all these various defenses, which is even which happens even during the Buddha's time, and the Buddha notices all this, and he lists them. So it's amazing that he noticed all this, and he lists them in such interesting way that our modern psychologists look at it and say, "Hey, I recognize this, and these are defense mechanisms." But remember, this is how the psychology, psychiatry, the council will look at the suttas. Of course, a Dhamma master wouldn't look at it just that way. To the Dhamma master, to the Dhamma student, he will see more of it like these are Vinaya situations for disciplining the monks, why it is important that the Sangha advises the monk and why the monk should respect the Sangha, okay? So we have different angles that the suttas are useful in that sense. You can look from a professional worldly point of view, but important thing is we have to look at it from the practical, the Dhamma side also. So the suttas are like that. You can look different ways, you can learn different things from the suttas, but ultimately we've got to take the sutta as it is. All right, so I will end here for the moment and then get your questions. So it's just nice. We have about half an hour for questions.
Thank you, Brother Piya, for explaining the sutta. We now open to questions. Please feel free to type your questions in the chat box or do turn on your video and raise your hand to ask the question directly. Hand over to Sister Axin for a question and answer.
Thank you, Sister Wendy.
Yes.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah. Thank you. Okay, thank you and sadhu to Brother Piya for the excellent sutta explanation. We are deeply grateful of your effort in the preparation and presentation of the summarized explanation earlier with all the cartoon graphics that further help us to identify the gist of the sutta. Thank you and sadhu, Brother Piya. Let me read out the first question from the chat box. This is from Elsie Yeo. With regard to defense mechanisms and justifiable excuse, what is the opinion of Buddhists with regard to this?
Regarding, what is it? Defense mechanism?
With regard to, yes, defense mechanism and justifiable excuse. What is the opinion of Buddhists?
I don't know about justifiable excuses. Defense mechanisms are definitely useful to understand because it touches the teaching of anusaya, the unconscious. The unconscious is always pulling our strings, making us not see our mistakes, all right? And the higher the rank of a monk, the harder it is usually for them to see what they call their mistakes, you know. So this is one of the problems. So these suttas are a reminder, you know, to the monks what they should really do. They should be honest with themselves. They should be open to the Sangha. So I sometimes wish that there are, you know, elderly monks who would speak out and then to tell the other monks that they should be like that. Then the chances of better monks more better monks in the world would be there, right? So the problem is most of the Sangha are silent now. And so that is not very good. So defense mechanisms are meant to be brought up to the conscious level. So anyone who knows, who teaches psychodynamics will tell you it is the problem with defense mechanism, it is unconscious. You do not know it is there, and it is controlling you. It is, in a sense, making a fool of you. It is preventing you from being your true self, okay? So if you really know, for example, that you are being reactive, you're getting angry because somebody says something, it's like having a wound, you see. So once you bring yourself to the conscious level, then you are healing the wound, then no one can hurt you the next time, you see. So that's why bringing up the defense mechanism to a conscious level, being mindful of it, being aware of it, dealing with it, helps you to be a stronger person. Okay, so that is the one explanation. Okay, all right, next question.
Thank you, Brother Piya. I just received a message from LCO. He add on that a statement, but in the context of lay people, always like to use justifiable excuses.
Well, it's up to you. If you want to justify excuses, so what can we do? I mean, in Buddhism, we do not force you to simply listen to us. That you should, after hearing the suttas, hearing teachings, you should develop some wisdom, and from there build up your understanding of yourself and to correct yourself. This is a very important teaching of self-reliance, self-accountability. I think it's something Asian here, a little bit of Asian, and I don't know what else to say. We want all the answers. I mean, in the West also, we have this kind of situation. It's a guru thing, you know, where the guru tells you everything, what to do, what not to do, and you don't have to do anything, you just follow. And that is a very, very dangerous thing. It is called dependence. It's a dependent existence. You don't have no existence. You're dependent on the authority figure. So, for example, we should never ask a teacher, why should I keep this precept? Why can't I break it? You know, we don't answer that kind of question. The teachings are there very clear. For example, first precept, life is precious. So you got to respect life. Then you got to think for yourself, okay, how do I do this? All right. So the Buddha doesn't say, okay, life is precious, but under this circumstance, it's okay to kill. Then, you know, the teaching gets watered down. The Buddha has reached a level where as a Buddha awakened one, deep in meditation, he's able to prevent anyone from killing him, for example. So he has that meditative power, but we don't. So we have to learn and decide for ourselves, how do we keep this precept? How do we cut down, okay, on the breaking of the precepts? Because the precepts are such that those are the 5 things, the 5 precepts we are most likely to break. And when it happens, we got to examine why. What are the conditions that make it happen? And there's something for us to learn from there. Remember, the first noble truth is about suffering. It means there is something missing in our life. And you got to find out what is that missing thing. And then from there we learn. So this is called self-reliance. Okay? Learn from our mistakes, learn from suffering, learn from our lack. Learn from our defense mechanism. Why is this wrong? And when you see it for yourself, that's called wisdom. Okay, so I hope I am clear here with this. If not, please ask again. Okay.
Thank you, Brother Piya. Sister Taiji has raised her hand. Sister Taiji, can you unmute yourself, please?
Brother Piya, Suki Hontu.
Suki, yes, go ahead.
I would like to go back to the cartoon number 6, where you show a girl play golf after her accident.
Yeah, I thought it was very good. She could switch from an accident and then go for golf.
Okay, so question?
My question is, I just shared that I thought the switching of her mind was very good lah.
Yeah, to the extent, yeah, I would agree with you. To the extent that she is able to calm herself, that is good. However, we are only talking about a cameo situation. We're only talking about that particular situation. But remember, when she has to go back to the family, to other people, there are responsibilities, you see, that's when the problem comes, you see. How does it affect other people? How does it affect her future relationship, let's say with her husband, for example? You see, so it's not that simple, see? If you just look at the cartoon itself, yeah, I would totally agree. It is good even for us, to be able to not to bring our problems home from work, for example, right? When you come home, you're happy, you don't bring office politics back home. That's sort of, sometimes it is called compartmentalization. Sometimes it is all right, but not always.
But right? I think it's the extent of the accident. If it's a small accident, it's, I think it's okay.
Sure.
She also has a commitment with her golf fellow golf members, that they agree to tee off and with the team and all that thing. If it's a huge accident, then of course, she has to attend to the accident with golf lah.
Yeah, it's just a theoretical case. So there are many possible angles. So we have to consider the consequences, who is suffering, who is not, and we've got to attend to that. There are many defenses, hundreds of them. So we're only dealing with a few key ones. For example, we can explain away things, right? That's called intellectualization. This is a danger with Abhidharma, You listen to Abhidharma teacher, let's say you have a problem, so my husband ran away, you go to Abhidharma teacher or Zen master, then the teacher, the master say, oh, don't worry lah, everyone suffers, Once you talk like that, that means what he's saying is your problem is not important, Now, that's called intellectualization. In other words, the counselor, the Abhidharma teacher, the Zen master has a problem, because he doesn't respect the other person whose problem is very serious. That's called intellectualization, defense mechanism, intellectualization.
Yeah, but also we have to remember we can't be taking our personal problems to the office, right? Everybody has problems. You can't imagine that the whole office, everybody bring, the problems to the office. When you leave your house, you leave your problems at home.
Okay, so what's your point?
So, because you say just now that the Abhidharma teacher is no compassion and all that thing.
Yeah.
It's not so much of compassion. It's just
okay. I have to stop you there. I'm sorry. I'm just giving an example. I'm not saying all Abhidharma teachers like that. I could have said maybe I'm the one. Maybe it's better to say I'm the one who says that. Can we not split hairs here, please? Okay. Then we have another defense mechanism there. Okay. So we don't want to go into that. This is called intellectualization, actually.
All right. Thank you.
So we don't want to go into that. Okay. Thank you. All right. Let's go on. Next question, please.
Thank you, Brother Piya. Sister SKEGSS4-11 raised her hand. Sister SKEGSS4-11, can you unmute yourself and open your video, please?
Okay, yes.
Sister SKEGSS4-11, are you there?
Yeah, sometimes they're trying to find the mouse. Like my kids have problem with the mouse. Yes, SKEGSS4-11.
Yeah, thank you, Brother Piya. I just want to ask whether this defense mechanism, whether it's kind of not all the time done unconsciously, like sometimes you mentioned it consciously. So I think it depends on each individual. They have to be totally sincere about it. So it's kind of related. If they are done consciously, then perhaps it's related to conceit. And if it's unconsciously, then it's illusion. Either way, because we are not all fully enlightened, this will be present in all of us in certain different degrees.
Sure, yeah. Speaking as Buddhists, yeah, of course, you're right. Here, But remember, if you are trained in psychology, I mean, this person who is a psychoanalyst, especially, he will tell you the fact that it is unconscious. That is the issue here, because this person or this client, as I say, doesn't know what's going on. So he has no control of it. That is the problem. See? So this is the psychology side. But on the Buddhist side, yeah, we are more versatile. We first of all try to find out, is it conscious or not? Is it conscious or unconscious? See? So if it is unconscious, we try to bring this person up to the level of being aware and accepting responsibility for the situation of the defense. It's not easy, you know. You must be ready. You must have a lot of metta. You must have wisdom to be able to do this. That is, counseling is important. Compassion is important. Teaching the person to be calm is important too. Yeah. So it goes two ways. Yes. Depends on whether you're talking as a psychotherapist or you're talking as a Buddhist practitioner. Okay. All right. Next question, please.
Thank you, Brother Piya. Just now I saw Brother Tan Kim Si raise his hand.
Yes, Kim Si.
He put down. I'm not sure Brother Tan Kim Si want to.
That's okay. He's adjusting his earphone.
Okay, thank you, Sister Exim.
Yes.
Brother Piya and all the others, happy Vesak.
Happy Vesak.
Yeah, I think you agree. Do you agree with me that this defense mechanism is actually reciprocal to spiritual development? Because defense mechanism is more of because of anatta, isn't it? Because of the self. So if our spiritual development is reaching that high level, maybe we don't need to depend so much on defense mechanism. Do you agree on that?
Very true, yes. You know why, Kim Si? I can tell you now, another name for this defense mechanism is ego defense mechanism.
Okay.
so actually, yes, it is because the person wants to defend, put a wall around the ego. It's afraid the ego will be hurt. So this is how the psychoanalysts will talk, basically. So that's why you see lots of very nice overlapping between psychology and Buddhism. Okay, yeah, so we can learn something there. So if we cut down the ego side, we want to learn more about what's going on. We want to be strong. We want to heal ourselves. That's the reason why I'm teaching the sutta actually. Okay, not to find faults, but to look at ourselves. Where do we need to strengthen ourselves, basically, the first noble truth. Okay. Yeah, okay. Question?
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you.
Sorry, Dr. Lee raised his hand.
Okay, yes. Any questions?
Brother Piya?
Yes.
Can you hear me?
Yes, I can, yes.
I think it's wonderful that you brought up this particular sutta to teach us tonight. And because I think psychological problems are extremely difficult to deal with, to fathom the cause. And I think that you have given us, through this particular sutta, an understanding perhaps of the mechanisms, the defensive mechanisms that arise when you are faced with psychological problems. And I think for many of these problems, they go into our subconscious mind. And that is why I think that we need the services of psychoanalysts, etc., to help us to understand the psychological problems and to deal with it. I think I can see from the responses arising out of your teaching that many of the brothers and sisters in the audience are very good diagnosticians. Ryan Gore came out very quickly to categorize the type of defense mechanisms.
Okay, Doctor, do you have a question, Doctor?
I would just wondered, Brother Piya, whether you could maybe perhaps complete the picture of psychological problems by telling us a little bit about how we can address them. In other words, the therapeutic aspects rather than the diagnostic aspects.
Yes, that's a good question. Yeah. Okay, now you can see in this article, in this document, there are 4 parts actually. Part 1, Part 2 deals with the sutta, directly the commentary to the sutta. Then Part 3 goes into details about what each of the defenses are, and a few more. There are others like, besides those mentioned, we have, you know, we should not be a dependent being, dependent person, and that there are defense mechanism of sublimation, identification, and so on. So first of all, you have to recognize what those difficulties are, and then in the section 3 and 4, I write from my own experience how my understanding of this defense mechanism make me look back and realize my own 30, 40 years in the past. For example, what I went through with 3 different cult teachers, and then in the end I gave up the training. So I was trying to understand how this happened, why this happened, and what's important is I don't want this to be just a story about me. I want to write it like the way there's a very beautiful book a psychotherapist called Erik Erikson wrote, Young Man Luther, because he analyzed the life of this Luther was a monk before, as a Christian Catholic monk, and he gave up the church, he gave up because he was really fed up with Rome. And he has what's called an identity crisis, according to Erikson. So he studied this young man Luther's life from the psychological point of view. And it was amazing. We're not reading just a life story of a person. We are studying how the mind works. So this was also my curiosity. How did my mind work in the past, and how do I see what happened to me in the past with all these people? So I've written some of the problems and how they can be solved in the rest of this book. But I must tell you, the rest of this article is not easy reading, it's difficult reading. And I know this particular paper 7.9 will be very important for the future. For many of us now, because we are still living within living memory of these people that I've written about, the 3 cult gurus plus a few others, and sometimes it can be very difficult to, you know, it's just this bitter pill. But these are I've written very honestly, very clearly, like a journalist, the way a newspaper reporter would write, and I've used some of those materials myself, but I wrote mostly from personal experience. That what in the end made me give up. I didn't want to go on going through all these difficulties, you know. So I used that in a sense to keep sanity in my life as a Buddhist, and it helped me to move on and come to this point where I'm able to do what I best do, that I always wanted to do, if not for the distractions, that I wanted to know what did the Buddha teach, what are the suttas, how do I learn the suttas, and now how do I teach the suttas? And next year will be 20 years. Can you imagine? I've been doing all this. I said, wow, look how time flies, you know. And perhaps I have 20 more years at the most to go, everything being equal, you know. So time is precious. Wisdom even more precious to us. And this is an amazing way to know how our mind works. So I would say, read the first part. Once you understand the first part, then go on to the second part. Chapter 1 and 2 are easy. Chapter 3 goes into the technical details, and then after that, slowly go on, see what you can understand. If you think anything difficult to read, just leave it aside, go on to the easy ones to read, and then ask yourself, what do I learn from this? So this document tells you there's a first-hand experience, not easy to write, not easy to read, but I can tell you no one else can write such a personal experience, because this is from my own experience. That is why I told myself, before I leave, I would like to leave this story behind so that you know what went on in the past. Okay, so do look at this document at the right time. Okay.
Thank you.
Okay, specific questions. Yeah, easier to answer. Yeah?
Thank you, Brother Piya. Just now, Sister Sita raised her hand. Sister Sita, are you there? Can you please unmute?
Yes, Sister Sita from Germany. Yes, Sita, you have a question? You got to unmute yourself. Yeah.
Yeah. At the moment, I'm already busy with the sutta. This only several days. I meditate for more than 4 years. It's all under my subconscious mind what is happening, and and I was evaluating and trying to see and to let go.
Yes.
You know, this 4 years I see the.
And also remember in our loving kindness meditation today, also forgive yourself. Forgive yourself. Very important.
Sometimes you're very angry about something in the past, and then suddenly I say, no, I cannot do anything. I just let it go, and it's more fluent. So the suttas are not
in your meditation. Sometimes simple words like in your meditation, okay, loving kindness. I accept myself just as I am. I completely forgive myself, all those things I've done in the past. Remember, I completely forgive myself. Yeah, you just go on saying that, and that will sink into your heart, into your minds, so you'll be easier on yourself. Because these are all thoughts. These are recurring thoughts, coming back. We are caught in a time loop. Nothing is happening. It's normal there, but we are caught in a time loop, and we've got to get out of the time loop. You see? So imagine some people let themselves be destroyed by this, being caught like a rat, like what do you call that? This little hamster in a wheel going around. Isn't it? Okay?
Yeah. I'm here alone. Nobody with whom I can chat to learn the suttas. Everyone speaking German. I'm so glad that I can speak English here. Sometimes it should change.
Well, I'm happy you're here.
It's very wonderful. Thank you so much.
We have 4 sessions a month, so try to join.
How about I saw it's on Friday, but I don't know which part of the month. Is it on Friday? Is it on Saturday? I will write to Sister Ratna. Yeah. Okay.
Even if you miss it, because we will put it.
I enjoy listening and learning the sutta because I have no one here. A lot of people meditating in different direction.
All right. Yeah. Well, we'll try to spend time with you. We'll try. Okay.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you so much. If I have any question, I will write. Yeah.
Yes. You have Telegram. You have. Remember, I have Facebook also. We have a very chatty, friendly Facebook. So join our Facebook. Okay. Facebook and Telegram group, and also at SKE, you have another group there too.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you so much. You know.
Dankeschön.
Okay. Dankeschön, ya. Terima kasih.
Ya, terima kasih. Sama-sama.
Toche.
Okay. Any other questions?
At the moment, no.
Right, we have about 5 minutes. 5 minutes more. Time flies. You know, especially during this COVID time, I'm amazed at how much work I have to do. and I mean, I'm happy with it, sutta-wise, you know, they're all related. And there's so much interesting things to learn about people, about Dhamma, about myself, you know. And if people ask interesting questions, and I can share those answers with them. And you can see these people grow. People now quote the suttas, they tell you which reference, where it's from. I'm really happy to see that, okay? Now, of course, I have to tell you, I can be quite a strict teacher because if you don't quote things correctly, I'll tell you, hey, come on, tell me where is this from, you know? Because I want you to have this habit of really knowing what is precious to us, where they come from, and to remember them so that you can tell other people the source of the Buddha's teaching too. Any other questions before we finish?
Yeah, there's one French lady together with me. We are going on a retreat. She's asking me about Satipatthana and Vipassana. She's not, I'm also telling her she's on the, like I call it, still in the basic, yeah. Maybe from time to time. Yes. She was the one who helped me with this telegram. She's good in computer, but anything about Buddhism or meditation, she asked me.
If she can read English, I will send her. There is a special article on Satipatthana, Vipassana. You can read this. Okay.
Yeah. Okay. I will tell her. All thank you.
Yeah, go ahead. Go for your practice. Huh?
Yeah. Thank you.
But don't force in meditation. No forcing. If you find you cannot handle that meditation, just stop. Take a break. Okay, meditation is not a challenge. It's not a marathon. Okay.
Yeah.
So take a break. Do walking meditation. Go back to what you are familiar with. You're dealing with your mind, and your mind can be very tricky. So respect the mind. Smile at the mind. Whenever you're not sure, smile at the mind, and you'll be okay. Okay.
That is a very good sentence. I read your book, and it was saying the mind is looking with the eye. So I was, it was so very beautiful.
I'm happy for you. All right. Any other questions or feedback?
Thank you, Sister Sita.
Thank you.
We have we have one more question in the chat box. Should we take the last one?
Yes, sure, yeah.
From LCO.
Okay.
In knowing defense mechanism, how then can we handle fellow human who activate these defense mechanisms? Can we use empathy to deal with them?
You mean if it happens to you, is it? I suppose you're saying it happens to us, huh?
I guess, yeah.
See, the thing is this, okay, technically, if it is unconscious, we won't know what's going on, okay? So then I would say, if the other person is wise enough, good enough, then we should accept that advice, listen carefully. We don't have to accept totally, but listen and then examine how true is it and work on it, okay? Number two, on the other hand, if we already now with all this knowledge we have, what we have learned today, we can identify the defense mechanism. That means it's normal unconscious. That is amazing. That is really good, because when you bring the unconscious defense mechanism to the conscious level, it is normal unconscious. You are in charge now, First Noble Truth, and that's a good start. Identify it and then find out what went on here, what make it arise, identify the causes and conditions, deal with those causes and conditions, and do metta to strengthen yourself. Because some problems may not seem to have any answers immediately, or they don't have the kind of answers that we can understand, because these feelings we have are so powerful. Sadness can be very strong. How to explain sadness? You just have to learn to be happy, right? So that's why loving kindness is very important. It is a habit to be joyful. It is also a habit to be sad, to be depressed, So it's a habit we choose. We've got to correct our negative habits, turn to positive habits. In Pali, it's called nati, So every karma we create becomes a habit. So that's why we don't want to create bad karma. Actions are done more than once becomes a habit. So we have to be careful whether it's good or bad, right? So if it's something bad, we say, oops, I better not do this anymore, right? So then you have nipped that bad habit in the bud. So this is the teaching of karma, okay? And as long as you keep in touch, reading the suttas, simple texts especially, and then you go on from one text to another as you feel joyful reading them, you find that keeps you joyful. This idea of joy is very important. Whatever you do, be kind to someone just for fun. This COVID season is really, it makes people very lonely and so on. Try to do something somehow, maybe through the internet or somehow, maybe send something to someone, whatever. You do something happy, then you feel good, and then you get this feedback, you feel happy too. So this is one way we can be happy during this really nasty COVID season, all right? By communicating indirectly in other ways than personally. I mean, directly face to face. Okay, there are other ways of communicating. Okay.
Brother Piya, Brother Ryan got something to ask you.
Okay, sure.
Brother Ryan, over to you.
Hey, I was just going to ask the 8 defenses, how much of it overlaid a modern day psychology? And I think I'm not exactly sure, but defense, reverse psychology, that we always come across in our modern living. How would you fit that into Buddha's teaching?
Okay, defense mechanism belongs to what's called the psychoanalysis school. So there are other schools, like cognitive behavior therapy and so on. Some of them, they don't follow this. You even have something called positive psychology, so they have different ways of working. So this is one of the more traditional way, and it's very interesting because it coincides with the Buddha's teaching. That's why I brought it up. So with psychology is a broad subject. There's so many styles of working. The most important thing is as Buddhists is to know how the mind works. We learn about the 5 aggregates. It's amazing. Those of you who have been attending the BMM series, Buddhist mind and meditation series, you'll find we talk about, previously we talked about this perception. I mean, it's amazing how the mind plays tricks on us. So if we can know that, so we understand the mind better. So know your own mind, so that you can tame your mind and then free your mind. That is the whole idea of understanding psychology and studying the suttas. Okay? All right, I think we'll slightly pass our time already.
Yes, thank you everyone for your questions, and thank you, Brother Piya, for explaining. We will close today's lesson now with the closing puja. Thank you.
Okay. All right, so this is our first session after Vesak. So I hope you all had a meaningful Vesak. And in a sense, we are still in the Vesak season. And we have learned a lot of things today about how the mind works. And most important thing is, we should ask, how does this apply to us? How can we know our minds better? There's a lot of mind teaching in early Buddhism. So learn to renounce in some way, letting go of something. For example, by coming here, attending this class, you have renounced a bit of your time so that you can spend this 2 hours sitting here listening to the suttas. Right? So this is one way of practicing, letting go. Right? As you notice, even the breath coming in, going out is also renunciation. So reflect on the idea of renunciation in everything we do. The opinions we have, we change. That's also renunciation. So this is how we grow. How does a flower grow? It comes out of the ground, even through hard floor, hard ground comes out. It leaves the ground, it renounces the ground. So life is like that. We have to grow out of situations. Reflecting in this way, let us show our gratitude to the Buddha by bowing 3 times to the Buddha, our teacher, the Dhamma, the teaching, and the Sangha, the noble ones who have followed the teaching. Arahang Samma Sambuddho Bhagava Buddhang Bhagavantang Abhivademi. Padam. Swakato Bhagavata Dhammo Dhammang Namassami. Padam. Supatipanno Bhagavato Savaka Sangho Sanghang Namami. Padam. Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu. Blessings of Vesak to all again.